when you need to submit it, right? So as soon as your app is in a working state, no errors, just deploy. So I can be here to help you out. During lecture, I'm going to try to encounter all the deployment bugs we can so you can see them and then be like, okay, I know how to deal with that. But, there's always going to be stuff that happens. It's just a lot. Then we'll talk about, first we'll talk about try catch. I know some of you have kind of stumbled onto that, but we'll officially cover it. We'll talk about .env. That's part of the deployment. We'll talk about cores. Yeah. It's kind of our agenda. The big thing is deployment. I'm not going to do a bonus project just because I really do want you guys to go for the bonus for this project and because deployment can take so much time because of the errors involved. So I don't think the bonus project will be necessary. Anyway, where did we leave off yesterday? What were we doing, right? You had a new job as a full stack engineer at Hello World Coding Bootcamp. You're working on kind of this admin system to track instructors and students, creating students, creating instructors, choosing an instructor, and seeing the students that instructor is registered to. We started working on the back end. We created a database and a server. Let's see if this server is still working though. How can I go ahead and run this server, Victor? How can I run this code here?
No demand
Yeah.
in index.
The default is index.js. So you can actually omit it. A little trick. And then Monica, how can I test this first get route to see if this is actually working?
Go to Thunder Client.
Yeah, we can go to Thunder Client. So I'm going to open a new window. Whoops. Thunder Client, new request. What do I type in, Monica?
Localhost 3000, I think it was.
Very nice. And just slash is fine. Get request. So that looks good, right? Our server is working. So I want to go ahead and break it, but I want to revisit this put request. So remember when we modified the name of a student? First off, I can't remember who's in our database. So how can I take a peek visually at what our database currently looks like? Ronald?
npx Prisma Studio, I think.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm actually going to leave that in its own terminal running because we might come back to it. Cool. So I have Daniel, Kevin, and Victor, and I have probably me. So now, let's say, that I misspelled Daniel in the database, and I need to update his name. How can we go ahead and do this update? Let me get Thunder Client back. How can I do that update, Ryan?
First, you have to get the student ID. You can get that in your GET request, or
so we could do either, but this is pretty easy, right? Oh, so we got an error. What's my error?
I think it's because you need a second terminal open to run Prisma Studio and Nobemon at the same time.
Yeah. I just forgot to run my server. So hit it again. Daniel has this ID. So keep on going. Help me out, Ryan. Keep on going. What do I do?
So you need to change it to put in Thunder Client.
Very nice. Put request.
And the address is / the ID.
Yep.
And then you go to the body. And let's see. You want to change the name, right? So
Yeah, so it looks like we're extracting name from rec.body, and here we're asking Prisma to update the name.
Yeah, so you just put name, colon, and the corrected name.
Yeah. All right, very nice. So we've now updated Daniel successfully. We can probably see that in Prisma. Go back to Thunder client. So now, David, how can we try to break our database?
You can not include the field name.
Yeah, let's see what happens there. Okay, that's a good error message. What's another way we can break this, Hara?
Sorry, you just did the ID, right?
Oh, we removed name.
Name. Okay, so you can also try to mess up the ID at the top.
Yeah, that's a good one. So an ID that doesn't exist. Ooh, we got a good error here. So an operation failed because it depends on one or more records. So it's saying you asked me to update something that doesn't exist. So my whole server crashed. And if your server is running on render and this happens and I'm grading you, I literally can't, I don't have the ability to keep on going. Your server's done. So how do we, so this error was generated here in the code from Prisma. Does anyone know a way that we can watch for errors and then respond appropriately? Does anyone know some syntax for that?
Try catch.
Yeah. So where do I, what goes in the try? What goes in the catch, David?
The try is what you're testing for, and then the catch is the error that you're going to display.
Yeah. So I know the error is being generated from Prisma. So I can do the try catch here and move this code into the try because I know the error's coming from there. And then if I catch it, what do I want to do? If there is an error that's generated, what do I want to do? Any ideas here?
You can console.log to the user.
I can console.log the error that's generated, sure. And I can try to do that. And this is way better. It looks gross, but our server hasn't crashed, actually. So this is way better already. But look at why is Thunder Client just saying processing and hanging?
Is it not being sent anything back?
Yeah, console.logging is not responding. So here, instead of console.logging is fine. That's actually nice. But what also do we need to do?
A res send.
Yeah. And success is true or false, Zach?
False.
And what's a good error? Well, we don't. Here's the thing. Prisma can screw up in a lot of different ways. So we're provided the error, and on the error automatically generated is a message property. So let's go ahead and send that. So now they do this request with the bad ID, and it's not great, but your front-end developer will know what it means, and your server hasn't crashed. So it's way better. But we can do better than this. Does anyone have a suggestion of how we could even make a more useful error message for this situation? Here's the success again, and here's the error if the ID is off. But I'd rather an error message that specifically says, no student found with that ID can't update. What would be a strategy for that?
Can you put the if not over there?
If not what?
Student ID?
We do have a student ID though. It's this. That student ID just doesn't correspond to a student. But that student ID does exist if we console.log it. But we're getting close. That's on the right track for sure.
What about just if student?
So here's where the error's generated. So this line of code doesn't run if error. Because if there's an error, it jumps to the catch. And here's where the error is being generated. So how can we ask Prisma if this student with this ID exists at all before trying to update?
Do you have to target the ID? Like,
Yeah.
create a variable?
Yeah. What's a good name?
Targeted ID?
What?
Or I was going to say targeted ID or student ID. I don't know.
I'm going to call it check student.
Okay.
But there's probably a better even name than that. Did you have an idea for this part, Hara? The Prisma command?
Await Prisma dot student and then dot find unique.
Sure. And what goes in the argument?
Where,
It's an object, yeah, with a property where.
and then that would be the ID name. I think it's called student ID.
ID, student ID. Awesome. Yeah. And now with Kim's logic, if not what, Kim?
Student ID.
Not student ID. No, student ID still exists. Student ID is always going to exist because it's here. So they
Well-
could put in foo and it would still exist.
Okay.
It just
So would
wouldn't
it be,
be associated
check
with the.
student? Would it be check student?
Yeah, there you go. So if not check student, what's a good response? What should
Student does not exist. Student not found.
student not found can't update. Yep. And now student not found can't update. There's one other way I think we can screw this up. Can anyone think of it? It deals with the fact of how we design the model, specifically line 15.
Is it giving a different data type?
That's actually not a bad idea. Let's try that. This is interesting. Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Invalid value provided. Yeah, that's one I wasn't thinking about. Good one. But we were safe because we had that try catch. So it actually didn't crash our database and responded appropriately. If you wanted to, we could do the same logic here, like check if it's a string. We could certainly do that. And it'd actually be kind of easy. Or not easy, but do you have any ideas how we would do that? Check. What are we checking? Student ID is a string.
Type of.
Yeah. So type of what?
Type of check student or whatever is
No, not.
triple equal to.
Oh wait, what are we doing? We're saying name is
name.
Yeah. We're saying name
Okay.
is not
All
what.
right. String, right?
Yeah. So I think this new name of student must be a string. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, that's a better error. Yep. That was a good one. Can anyone think of another way we can break it? I was thinking of because of the line 15.
Give someone the same name as someone else.
Yeah, there we go. So in our database, we already have Victor, right? So what if I tried to do update? I think this was originally Daniel. I don't remember. To Victor. We're getting this unique constraint failed. But again, we can do another check, right? And so on and so on. I'm not going to do it again just because our try catch did catch this successfully. So, and your front end developer they should be able to read these Prisma errors. But if you wanted to go the extra mile, you could try to think of every situation to have that real nice message. Questions on try catch or trying to break our server? All right, so let's talk about deployment, right? So my application right now is in a working state. I know it's in a working state because I can do a request and it shows up. And now I want to deploy it. So what are some steps I need to do to deploy? How do I deploy this? Open to the class. How would you deploy this?
Git init.
Yeah, so I think we've cheated a little bit. I think we already have a Git repo. But if you didn't, you need to create one and you need to commit to it and you need to push to it. But we did that. So that's a Git remote v Git pull Git pull origin. Oh, I actually don't want to pull. Can I force? Okay. Because I had commits in the future that I didn't want because I want to be equivalent to this. So I forced it to overwrite. So we have a repo on GitHub that has our code. That's a great step. Yep. That's step 1 in deployment. And we can see that in GitHub if you guys want. So GitHub, what is this called? Hello world? Yeah. So here's our code. What's another step we need to do to deploy?
Connect it to render.
Yeah, so let's go to render. I'm going to click new, web service, build and deploy from GitHub. Hello world, connect. Hello world. I think the only thing I actually need to change is the start command. And if you forget, it will yell at you. So what's the start command I need? Well, it's hinting right there, right? Node index.js. So we create this, and we're going to get a bunch of errors that we need to work through. Can anyone think what some of those errors are going to be? There's going to be 2, I think, major. There's actually going to be more than that. First off, I got a weird one. The engine node is incompatible with this module. Expected version is greater than 16. Has anyone seen this one yet? How did
Max, is it
you?
because you left yarn up above it in that MPMI?
MPMI, no, but something we modify here that we can specify what version of node render should use. Does anyone remember
Module?
that command? I saw 2 people shaking their heads that they encountered this error. Did you fix it or still stuck on it?
Yeah, I used an environment variable in render.
Oh,
That's a different way of doing it.
okay. how does that work? What's the environment variable?
I forget what it's called, but you can basically just enter your node version that you want. And so I did that.
You don't remember what it's called? Node version, maybe?
I can go and render now. S- Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, while Ryan's maybe looking that up or thinking about it, the way I know to do it is in package.json. We can say engines, and then we can say node, and we can just say greater than 20 or greater than equal. Then does anyone know what current version it is?
Like 25.
Okay, so 20 should be fine.
Yeah, Max, the environment variable is node version.
Okay, perfect.
You need to do that.
Perfect. I think this might be easier though, because if you forget, it auto suggests things to you. So this might be easier, but either way. So now we've made a change to package.json. How do we redeploy? Because nothing's automatic. This code running locally doesn't know about render. What do I have to do?
You have to push again?
Yeah, so I'm going to do git add, git commit. I'm always lazy. Don't be like me. Do a real message. Okay. And then automatically when you recommit, it's going to redeploy, which is nice. So here it's saying deploy in progress, and we can look at the little AI computer doing its thing, which is fun. Here we specified our node version, so it's listening to us and using node version 20. Can anyone brainstorm another error we're going to get while this is working? What else does render not have that it needs?
Yeah, install.
Which one?
Install, like the packages, the dependencies.
I think it's going to do that automatically. I think.
Does it need the database?
Yes, but it needs what info to connect to the database?
The .env file.
.env, not the file. We're not going to give it the whole file, but it needs the environment variables. Yeah. But that might not cause an error right away. But we'll see in a second. So look, we got server is up, right? Our message saying everything's good, but everything's not good. Because if we try to do a request for this running server now in the cloud, we're going to break it. Oh, never mind. We're not going to break it, but we are going to break it when we do what? What kind of request? Because this first request doesn't involve what?
Doesn't involve Prisma.
Yeah, it doesn't involve Prisma or the database. So what's a request that does involve one of those or both of them?
A post.
We don't have /post. What?
Students or
Yeah.
instructor?
We can do /students. So now we've crashed our whole server. Which again, if we had try catches everywhere, it wouldn't crash. But we don't. So it crashed because it can't connect to the database. I want to show you though the error message. So it's lagging a little bit here. It's still saying that it's deployed successfully, but it's not. It's crashed for sure. See? And even if we just do normal requests, it's bad. So here we see service failed. And it's kind of cool. Render will send you an email if your server crashes. So you'll know you have to go fix it. It'll probably be too late then because that'll be me grading it and you won't have time. So anyway, in the real world, you can fix your server, right? So let's see the message, though, that it gave us. Where's the logs? Here we go. Environment variable not found, database URL. So we don't specifically want Git to track .env, but render does need that information. So we have to manually come over here and add the environment variable manually. So database URL, and then don't copy the quotes. Quotes aren't necessary. And right here, save this. And now I think it'll redeploy because we made a change to the environment. Any other questions while this is running? This will be recorded, so you
Sorry.
can go back and watch, but yeah, go ahead.
How did you get to the environment variable part?
You
Oh,
click on
dashboard.
your server, and then one of the tabs is environment.
Okay, thanks.
Can anyone think of another error? We actually might have hit them all. I don't know. This might be a quick lecture. Did anyone run into any other bugs during deployment?
Yeah, I was connecting my front end to the back end, and
Oh, yeah, of course.
yeah,
Thank you for reminding
of
me.
course.
What did you, in your journeys, what did you discover about cores? What is it? How to get around it? Any thoughts there?
Cores is, so the way I understand it is basically if your front end is hosted in a different place than your back end, your browser will not allow you to make a GET request or any request. So you need to import cores, and I'm not quite sure what it does, but I think it just sets permissions. Ronald's nodding, so maybe he knows more about it than me.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand it too well.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard concept. So the interview answer is that it stands for cross-origin resource sharing. But the answer to your buddy, does anyone have a feeling of how you would describe it to your buddy in real language? So basically the browser, it's a security feature that only the code on your client's computer that's running on the same domain as the server you're requesting to by default is accepting the request. So no one can access the server to send requests except clients who are sending requests from the same domain. Which I know is confusing. But so this is a security feature from the browser. The browser will block it. The server doesn't actually block it, which is the really weird part. But we can tell the browser to ignore itself by using cores. So we'll do that in a second. But let's see if this says it's working now. And now if we go to not localhost 3000, but whatever our hello world is.
How does cores work? Is it like just like changing the headers or something?
Exactly, yeah.
And saying
Yeah.
allow everything or something like that?
So this is working. This isn't being blocked by cores, but why not?
Because you're accessing the server directly and you don't have like a in-between layer.
Not directly. I'm accessing it from, I'm sending a request from the browser, but the request is coming from the same domain that the server lives on. But if I take this request and now do it in a different domain, what's the domain of this site now? What's the domain here?
Localhost.
Yeah, it's certainly not hello world at render or whatever. So now if I do the fetch request from here, we get this cores error. Because we're sending the request, but we're sending it from this domain. This domain is where this code is running. So just like Ronald was saying, we need Express to set a header on all the responses that say, browser, chill out, it's fine, anyone can send me requests. And to do that, we use cores. So you're going to install a package called cores. You're going to import it. And you're going to use it and never think about it really again. But now we made a change to our database, to our server. So we got to recommit. Is there a question? So that will redeploy now that we're using cores, and hopefully tell the browser to calm down and allow anyone to request from any domain. We don't care. I mean, we do care. We want anyone to be able to hit this server. That's the point of our server. So this should be redeploying. Yeah. Any questions while that's redeploying? I think that's everything I wanted to cover. So pretty quick lecture today. Maybe I can even get this. I probably can't. Never mind. I was going to say maybe I can get up the video as we're working, but I don't think I can. So is our everything still working? Server, database, that's fine. But this originally wasn't blocked by cores. But this one was blocked by cores. So we try again. Still blocked by cores, but maybe it's deploying still. Okay, let's try again. And now it's working. It's not being rejected, our promise here, our fetch. So. And the only reason I'm fetching here, in reality, your front end would be the one fetching, right? I just don't want to have to create a whole front end. And the problem is, actually, if I use Thunder Client to do this request, what do we think? Will this be, if we didn't have cores, would it be rejected or not from Thunder Client? Where is Thunder Client? What does anyone think? If we did this request here, it's going to work, right? Or not work, because whatever. But say we didn't have cores. Do you think Thunder Client would be rejected or not?
No.
No, why not?
Cause the server's still running and
Because it's a security feature by who?
browser.
By the browser. Thunder Client has nothing to do with the browser. So this is the browser that's blocking us, which is weird. And I don't really know the historical reason. I should probably figure out why. Maybe it was just so rare for front ends to hit other servers and servers to hit other servers, and I don't know. So they just figured don't even allow it, because why would anyone ever need to do that? But now in today's modern web environment, there's no app that's not constantly talking to everyone. Stripe and Facebook and Google Ads, and there's no app that's not talking to a million other apps. So. All right, I think we're good there. Any final questions? All right, deploy right away, please, so I can help you while I'm here. Because I don't want to help you Sunday night, but I do want to help you now.
Is it Max? Is it do a Sunday night or is it do
No, I was just a joke. That's when students used to hit me up because things were due Monday. But yeah, for you guys, it'll be Monday at 1 p.m. still. All right, breakout rooms. Yeah.